The final chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo changes the entire world of the story. Cursed spirits are disappearing, sorcerers may never be born again, and Yuji reveals a plan that could shape the next 300 years of humanity. But the ending also leaves behind some major implications: Megumi's fate, Yuji's final decision, and what this ending might mean for the future of Jujutsu Kaisen. So let's break down everything that happens in chapter 25. The chapter opens with Yuji standing at Nobara's door, holding Panda by the head like usual. He casually says, "Yo." Nobara immediately glares at him. She replies, "So you think yo is enough after you just disappeared?" Yuji simply answers, "Sorry." The scene shifts to the Simurian tribunal, where Maru and Cross were being questioned for what they did with the ritual of harmony. Because of that ritual, the colors of souls were scattered. Previously, Kalyans, Rumelians, and cursed spirits shared the same soul color, but now that connection is gone, which means in the future Kalyans may attack Rumelian children because they will no longer recognize them. So the Simurians had to make a decision. What should they do with the Kalyans? Should they exterminate them, treat them like livestock, or continue living with them? After discussion, the final decision is announced. Unanimous. They will continue living together with the Kalyans. Osuki explains that they don't cherish the Kalyans just because they don't attack them, and not because they can hear their voices. They cherish them because they live beside them. That coexistence is part of their world and culture, and no matter what happens in the future, they refuse to abandon them. If Kalyans shouldn't kill Rumelians, then Rumelians also shouldn't kill Kalyans. The scene shifts. We see Yuka, Tsurugi, Maru, and Cross walking together. Maru and Cross explain what happened in the meeting. Tsurugi is impressed. He says the Rumelians are amazing people. Cross admits something important. He says he was actually prepared to accept the death penalty if necessary. But in the end, everyone felt the same way he did. Maru laughs slightly and admits they were still scolded a lot during the meeting. But ultimately, the conclusion remained the same. Maru says one simple thing: Kalyans are a family. Yuka smiles and says, "When you put it that way, it really hits home." Next, we see Yuka and Tsurugi sitting in front of their mother, and she is scolding them. She reminds Yuka, "You hid your illness from me until the last moment. You ignored my wishes, and you accepted that duel." Then she turns to Tsurugi, "And you went off to Tokyo alone to fight an alien." She says, "Just because things turned out okay doesn't mean it was acceptable." She tells both of them to reflect on their actions. But as she walks out of the room, her tone softens and she says, "But you both gave it your all. Giving birth to you is the greatest honor of my life. And your father and grandparents would be proud too." This hits hard because it mirrors Maki's tragic past. Then she adds one last thing: "But don't you dare make me worry like that again." We then return to the present conversation. Tsurugi agrees and says, "Yeah, family is important." Yuka teases him, saying, "You're being so honest today." Tsurugi just replies, "Shut up, don't touch me." We then return to Yuji and Nobara. Now we finally see Yuji's current appearance. He looks older, calmer, and more mature. Yuji admits something. He was scared. He was scared of losing his friends. After consuming the death paintings and existing somewhere between a human and a curse like Choso, he began wondering what people thought of him. And that fear made him withdraw from the world. He thought maybe he should stop interfering with the present. After all, he should have died long ago. But then he realized something. If you stop looking at the present, you lose sight of both the past and the future. Nobara says, "Yeah, maybe it's all connected." Yuji says that he was searching for something to change the way he lived, but he ignored what he should have been doing. What the aliens did was something he had given up on decades ago. He should have done it on his own. Yuji remembers his grandfather's words: "Help people." For decades he ignored that, but now he knows what he needs to do. He looks at Nobara and says, "I want your help." Nobara smiles and says, "Fine by me." Panda, who is still sitting on the table, suddenly speaks. He says Yuji brought him along so the visit wouldn't feel awkward, but now his entire purpose disappeared. Nobara is shocked. "Wait, you can still talk?" Panda replies that sometimes he can when he feels good. Yuji then explains his plan. Since new sorcerers will no longer be born, they need to prepare. He proposes several steps. Cursed spirits must be exorcised immediately after they are born, before they grow stronger. The current sorcerers must teach barrier techniques and exorcism methods to others. Nobara says, "The barriers are based on Master Tengen, right? It's possible they might hold even after sorcerers stop being born." Yuji then says they must locate people born with heavenly restriction, like Toji and Maki. These physically gifted individuals will become the next defenders. They will map out their bloodlines. They must secure and mass-produce cursed tools. Panda says, with help from the former Big Three families, this will be easy. But Yuji says the final thing is the toughest part. He says when he dies, he will become a cursed object, just like Sukuna's fingers. Even after Tokyo is rebuilt, Yuji says he can keep cursed spirit damage near zero for 200 to 300 years. After that, if they leave behind the right systems, they can create an illusion of safety. But aliens did come to Earth, so no one knows what might happen in the future. Maybe hundreds of years from now, if cursed energy becomes necessary again, someone could eat him, just like he once consumed Sukuna's finger. Nobara says, we better hope there's someone as gross as you in the future who'd actually swallow part of a curse or a corpse. But she raises a question. How do cursed objects even come into existence? Yuji answers, that's something we'll have to figure out together. Then Nobara quietly says, times like this, I wish Fushiguro was here, which strongly implies that Megumi is gone. Elsewhere, Usami and Jabaloma are playing catch. Usami says, all the cursed spirits in Tokyo have disappeared. I could persuade the higher-ups with that fact alone. But just in case, we should keep one thing secret, that future sorcerers will no longer be born. Jabaloma says, there's still a usable amount of Malor left over from the Nonax, but unless we combine it with cursed energy, it's a pretty weak bargaining chip, isn't it? Usami says, still, the energy crisis will continue to worsen in the coming decades. What worries me more isn't the advantages of cursed spirits disappearing or their numbers dropping sharply. It's the disadvantages of sorcerers not being around anymore. That could easily be used as a negative campaign against the Simurians. Jabaloma says, well, they'll find out eventually. Usami says, then we need to act first. We then see a quick panel of Yuji saying, blame it all on me. Say all Marulu did was follow my orders. Tell your bosses that and call me if you need me. We then cut back to Usami and Jabaloma, and they're still playing catch. Jabaloma says, oh, are you talking about that one matter? Usami replies, no, that didn't come from me. We then see what Usami and Jabaloma are referring to. We cut to Yuka, Tsurugi, and Maru watching a news broadcast. And the broadcast is of Mahoraga versus Dabura. In the video, commentators explain that decades ago a monster appeared in Tokyo. The same monster, Mahoraga, has returned. They say an alien warrior from a distant planet fought it. That alien was Dabura. To the public, he looks like a hero. We then cut back to the kids watching this broadcast. They are all on the baseball field. Basically, everyone has gathered here. Yuka says, so it's true, the new shadow-style crows can broadcast curses. Usami says he would have really preferred if they couldn't. Tsurugi asks, why are you playing catch today? Usami replies, playing catch was kind of boring when you were a kid, right? But it's fun when you grow up. Getting light exercise, chatting about nothing in particular while tossing the ball back and forth. It's a form of communication you can actually see. Maru adds, yeah, it's perfect for taking the time to get to know each other. Yuka thinks to herself, is that the reason old guys suddenly start playing golf? Usami continues, when it comes to countries or ethnic groups, the individual is often overlooked. But people don't exist for the sake of a country. Countries exist for the sake of their people. Somehow we ended up forgetting the obvious. As he says this, we see panels of everyone playing catch together. Usami continues, there are so many challenges piling up. That's exactly why moments like these are important. Moments where we can face each other and confront things together. Maru then thinks to himself, our cursed techniques, chaos and harmony, I think they're actually more like a wish. A wish for a bright future and happiness for everyone. We all chase that, and sometimes we hurt others along the way. But still, I hope we can continue wishing for our own happiness and the happiness of as many others as possible, even if it's just a little. Then out loud he says, teach us more about Earth and all of you. Tsurugi catches the ball and says, yeah, sure. Yuka throws the ball to Cross and says, same for you. Cross replies, got it. We then jump to some point in the future. Yuka is talking with the chef Tomoe. Tomoe says, I'm so glad you're okay now, Yuka. Yuka replies, yeah, but in exchange, Dabura had to leave. Tomoe says, sure, but compared to your health, my love life doesn't matter at all. She hides her face and says, I should just stop thinking about it. Yuka gently replies, I guess it does matter. Suddenly, a clang sound echoes. Both of them look up, and that's where the chapter ends. The sound effect is the same one from earlier when Dabura's horns hit a door frame, so the implication is clear. Dabura has returned, and maybe Dabura and Tomoe will finally get their happy ending. And with that, Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo ends. But the story still leaves behind many possibilities. Yuji becoming a cursed object, a world without sorcerers, and a future that may one day require them again, which means the door for a possible part 3 is still open. But in the end, it all depends on Gege. Let me know what you you think about the ending in the comments. Do you think it was rushed, or was it a satisfying ending? And I'll see you in the next breakdown.